All right, let's get right into this. Just imagine for a second. You're out hiking, way off the beaten path, and you stumble upon something that just plain shouldn't exist. Something that vanished from the face of the earth with the dinosaurs, but somehow it's right there in front of you. Well, today we're digging into the incredible and totally true story of the Jurassic Park tree. Just look at that number. 65 million years. Seriously, let that sink in. That's how long this tree's ancestors have been around. A direct, living link to the Cretaceous period. This isn't some distant cousin, it's a genuine relic from the age of dinosaurs. So, the big question is, right? How on earth does something so ancient stay a complete secret for so long? Well, the answer is almost as mind-blowing as the tree itself. It was literally tucked away deep inside an incredibly remote canyon in Australia, a perfect natural time capsule. Now, to really get how huge this discovery was, we need to rewind the clock a bit. We're going to travel back in time to a world before 1994, a time when this tree was nothing more than a ghost, a story told only by fossilized rocks. You see, the Wollemi Pine is what scientists call a living fossil. So what does that actually mean? Well, it's not just that it's an old species. It means it's a species that science only knew from fossils. It had no close living relatives, so everyone just assumed its entire branch on the tree of life had withered away millions of years ago, an evolutionary dead end, or so we thought. This timeline really puts the whole mystery into perspective. I mean, 90 million years ago, its relatives were everywhere, all across the supercontinent Gondwana. They even survived the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. But then, nothing. Silence. The very last fossil we have is from 2 million years ago. So for all of human history, as far as science was concerned, this tree was 100% extinct. Okay, so how do you go from the scientific certainty of extinction to someone literally stumbling upon it? Well, that whole story kicks off with a chance encounter, a single moment that would change botany forever. The stage for this incredible scene was Wollemi National Park in Australia. And we're not talking about a local park here. This place is a massive, rugged wilderness, a complete maze of deep sandstone canyons and cliffs. And really, it's that wildness, that remoteness, that allowed this tree to keep its secret for millennia. And the guy who found it? He wasn't some famous scientist on a grand expedition. Nope, it was David Noble, a national parks officer, and just a really experienced outdoorsman. In 1994, he was actually on a personal trip, just exploring a canyon he'd never been into before. So there he is, deep inside this canyon, and he sees this grove of trees that just looked weird, almost alien. The bark was the thing that really stood out. It was described as being bubbly and chocolate brown. His curiosity got the better of him. He took a small piece, having absolutely no idea he was holding a twig of prehistoric life. You can imagine what happened next. Once botanists got a look at Noble's sample and realized what it was, the reaction was swift. But it wasn't a big public celebration, oh no. It was secrecy. A top-secret mission began, a desperate race to protect this priceless living treasure. Which leads to the obvious question, right? Why all this secrecy? Why not shout this incredible news from the rooftops? Well, the answer to that really shows you just how fragile this monumental discovery truly was. The threats were immediate, and they were very, very real. Collectors of rare plants would have paid a fortune for a piece of this, which could have destroyed the entire grove. But even well-meaning tourists could have trampled the habitat, or even worse, accidentally introduced a deadly fungus like root rot from the mud on their boots. The location had to be kept a secret. It was non-negotiable. So, the number one goal of this secret mission was simple: create backups. Scientists immediately started to carefully propagate the pines, creating what they called insurance populations in botanic gardens all over the world. That way, if some catastrophe hit the wild grove, the species wouldn't be lost forever. But, keeping a secret this huge is pretty much impossible forever. So eventually, the strategy had to change. It evolved from this covert, top-secret protection to a really bold, public plan of global stewardship. And here's the absolute genius of this shift. They decided to do the exact opposite of secrecy. Instead of trying to restrict access, which paradoxically can actually make poachers more interested, they decided to give it to the world. They went from a single, high-risk location to decentralized safety by getting the public involved. And this was the brilliant slogan that made it all happen. They actually started selling the tree commercially. Think about that. By making it available for anyone to buy in their local garden center, they totally flooded the market. It crashed the black market price, making it worthless to poachers. And the money they made went right back into conservation. They turned the public from a threat into a global army of guardians. But saving the Wollemi Pine wasn't a one-and-done kind of deal. The fight for its survival is very much still happening, and you could argue that the modern threats are even scarier than what it faced in the past. And this all came to a terrifying head during Australia's catastrophic Black Summer bushfires. A massive, unprecedented mega-fire was bearing down on that secret canyon, threatening to wipe out the entire wild population in one single fiery event. What happened next was seriously like something out of an action movie. This high-stakes secret mission was launched. Elite remote area firefighters were flown in by helicopter. They actually set up a special irrigation system to soak the canyon floor. At the same time, water bombing planes came in, dropping fire retardant to build a protective shield as the flames got closer. And against all odds, it worked. But even after literally surviving a trial by fire, the threats haven't disappeared. That root rot disease is a constant menace. And maybe the species' biggest weakness is actually in its DNA. It has extremely low genetic diversity, which basically means if a new disease comes along that it can't handle, it could potentially wipe them all out. In the end, though, the Wollemi Pine has become so much more than just a tree. It's now this global flagship for conservation. Its incredible story of survival, of discovery, and of this daring rescue is a powerful symbol for every other species out there that's fighting for its future. And that kind of brings us to our final thought here. The story of this tree is such a profound reminder that our planet still holds some incredibly deep secrets. So I'll just leave you with this question. If a tree from the age of the dinosaurs could stay hidden until 1994, what other wonders are still out there just waiting for us to find them?